I'm Andrew Noel Lightbody. I was the Chief Fire Officer of Cheshire from 1978 to 1986. I had a friend who was a firefighter. He was a couple of years older than me. But like me, he was a joiner by trade. And I used to help him occasionally. And then in 1948, when they reorganised the fire brigades, the NFS finished, that's the National Fire Service, which was on during the war years. And the local brigade was looking for firemen. He joined, and he was probably in about 12 months before me, but he kept trying to persuade me to join, and eventually he succeeded. And I joined in 1948. My particular boss at the time, I mentioned it to him, and he was a great Rotarian and so forth. And he said, "Oh yes, you should join. Yes, you should." He encouraged me to join. I wasn't very far away from the fire station, you see, so I could respond quite quickly. And he paid me even when I responded to the fire brigade, as the fire brigade did as well. The fire kit was a jacket and over-trousers and rubber boots, together with a tin hat, same as the soldiers wore during the war. In fact, they were old army helmets that we wore. We probably wore them for about 2 years. And we eventually got, when they had started remaking fire helmets, and they were more plastic, I think, than anything else. They did the job not too bad. We had those for 3 or 4 years, and then they gradually improved them to fibre helmets. And we had those for quite a long time. I came to Cheshire in 1962. I came as an assistant divisional officer for fire prevention. We were kept occupied fairly well when you were on day duty, kept busy somehow or another, either visiting fire risks or looking after equipment, doing drills. Night duty, you were kept occupied in the evening and similar things, but you did drills, you did a bit of maintenance of equipment, and you stood down at 10 o'clock. You went to bed. You got up when you were wanted. That was it. But, you know, you're always kept busy, as well as attending incidents. So there was always, I suppose, a bit of excitement, anticipation as well, something going. Bert Brennan was my chief for most of the time I was, for all the time I was an assistant chief or deputy. And he retired and went to the Home Office as an inspector. I applied for the chief officer's job and got it. You know, as a chief, you do a lot of things which apply to various aspects of the job, really. And you do a lot of administration, and you're engaged in lots of things. So you depended really on your senior officers taking care of problems. I encouraged them to talk to me. I think encouraging that helped a great deal, that I had to be approachable to do my job. headquarters staff were very good. They would have come to me with their problems, obviously, if they had any, and we would have discussed them and decided what needed doing, and they would go off and do that. It usually worked, occasionally it didn't. Come back to us, try again. You had to keep an efficient brigade because it mattered on the foreground. During the strike, we were there to advise the army officers on what to do, whatever they call. Fire calls are direct to the police headquarters, and we had to advise the crew that were the people who were going out, the army personnel who were going out on they were using the old NFS fire engines, where the incident was, direct them to the location, and quickly brief them on if we knew anything about it, otherwise we couldn't help. During the day we were in headquarters because the administrative staff were working. We felt, I felt a bit isolated really, because all the stations had men outside them doing picket duty, I suppose, and with banners and one thing and another. And we used to have a lot of comments. Why are you letting them making a show of the fire station with what they're doing? Can't you move them? We didn't. We would say, sorry, we can't help. It'd be a big problem to, get involved in that. That it could cause all sorts of problems. But really, we were a bit isolated from negotiations and all sorts of things. We had no input into the strike. I think we were fortunate, had no very serious fires. We didn't have any oil refinery or any big fires. One or two farm buildings, I suppose, and it's largely a rural county, really. But nothing very serious. So really we never attended any incidents. The incident which involved in me eventually losing sight of the eye was caused by a fire in the candle factory, which is up in the hills. Half of the buildings were alight. And we dealt with it. We probably took an hour to kill it, down that it was near enough dead. Our usual routine, you would check all the parts of the building that had been affected. And I, with my helmet on fire gear, went in and walked into the building. The roof was gone virtually. There was bits of it there. And as I walked along, without realizing, somehow or another a ridge tile became detached and hit me on the helmet right there. Hit me. Now, a ridge tile is about 2 foot long and hit there. It was quite heavy. It went through that part of the helmet, but didn't get to my head. But it gave me quite a shock, if you know what I mean, or a jolt, or whatever you want to call it. In other words, it didn't break any skin on my head, but it had there was a blow, if you like. And I didn't feel anything very seriously. But in a few days, my eye, I started the cornea in the eye started to was detached, and I started to lose sight in the eye. Now I never did fully lose the sight. I went to the hospital, and I regret to say they couldn't help. They couldn't. It was too badly gone. But the doctor didn't regard it as an item for retirement, because I had full sight, and the other one still have, thank goodness. I wish I'd kept the helmet, because it had a hole in it. It hit me and bounced off. I was discharged on health grounds because I had been ill with internal problems, and I had to have an operation. And I recovered, and the doctor got me back on the job. And I suppose I was there for the best part of a year as the chief again. And the doctor decided he would advise me to retire, because he said, "You've recovered your health very well. I would like you to keep it." And he recommended I be retired. I would like to have stayed another year or two, but my wife, who is a qualified nurse, she said, "Have a bit of sense, a bit of common sense," she says, "and take what is offered to you, because he knows better than you do." And I've been perfectly all right ever since, apart from age. That's 30 odd years.